Today we had the sixth part of the story with the headline, War's Bravest Deeds, Recollections of Episodes of Heroism by Land and Sea. The subheadline says, Stirring contributions from Colonel N.T. Willis, Major Alfred R. Calhoun, Captain George P. Singer, Edward Dawn. Today's installment is told by Congressman W. Stone. It says, Our regiment, the 187th Pennsylvania, when we were in the Virginia swamps, just previous to the Battle of Petersburg, had charged into a piece of woods and recaptured a rifle pit which had been taken from our forces by the Confederates. It began to rain furiously, just as we drove the enemy out and got possession. Right in front of our company, the pit took a sharp turn. A few rails, logs, and limbs of trees had been thrown down, and dirt piled upon them from both sides. The ground was very swampy, and the rain soon formed quite a depth of water on each side in the trench. The Confederates kept up a brisk fire, and we had to settle down in the mud and water to obtain any protection. Night came on, and the rain and the firing still kept up. About midnight, it was discovered that the water was washing the earth away in front, and that it was necessary for someone to get over and shovel on a new covering at the angle in front of us, or otherwise our protection would soon be gone. Captain Hart, then commanding the company which lay at that point, hesitated to order a detail, and called for someone to volunteer to engage in the dangerous work. The enterprise was not only dangerous, but it was 100 chances to 1 that the person attempting it would be carried to the rear, riddled with bullets. It was positively certain that as soon as the sound of the shovel was heard, the enemy lying directly in front and but a short distance away would direct their fire to that spot. Everyone saw the situation and the danger, and naturally, no one was in haste to volunteer. Finally, a private named Lon Mock, a man of delicate frame, who had enlisted in Company A from Wellsboro, Tioga County, Pennsylvania, stepped to the front and said without any flourish, and as though it was the most ordinary affair of his life, that he would undertake the job. The terrible campaign of 1864 and the dampness and malaria of the Virginia swamps had told upon his health, and he hardly looked able to lift a shovel, much less to muster up nerve enough to undertake the probably fatal work in hand. He had always done his duty, but in a very unostentatious way, in no manner distinguishing himself, and it was with much surprise that his comrades saw him step to the front when they had all hung back. He did not seem to be anxious to go, and there was no air of bravado about him. He simply esteemed the act to be in line of his duty, and if that was the case, it made no difference to him whether the performance was dangerous or not. He saw also that the lives of comrades were at stake, and that it was necessary for someone to throw up the defense that had been washed away in the interest of saving life. A shovel was obtained, and Mock climbed over the rifle pit and began his work. Sure enough, as soon as the sound of the shovel was heard, the bullets of the Confederates began to fall thick and fast about him. One struck his shovel fair on the flat surface and sent it spinning out of his hand, but he at once picked it up and shoveled away again as though nothing had happened. Everyone held his breath, expecting every moment that Mock would be struck, and while we were crouching behind the pit in comparative safety, he shoveled as leisurely as though he were digging in his garden at home. How he ever escaped was a mystery to us all. For 15 or 20 minutes he worked there with his back to the enemy, under a constant and rattling fire, until the breach was repaired, and then climbed back, saying quietly, "I guess it's all right now, boys," and everyone felt like hugging him for his brave act. Lon Mock marched no more with us that campaign. The result of his exertion was a severe cold, and he gradually went down to his grave and survived the war but a short time. His brave act in front of Petersburg has not been forgotten, however, and every spring when his comrades strew his grave with flowers, the story of his heroism is retold by those who personally knew of the action. He never received promotion, and his heroism is only one of the many brave deeds done by our volunteer soldiers, which never saw any other reward than the gratitude of their comrades. This installment was written by W. Stone. This story comes from the great state of Wisconsin, being reported in the newspaper library of March 31st, 1894. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.